Hi guys, this is the HackerNoon podcast. Today we have Adam Todd with us, who is the founder and CEO of Digitex Futures. And we'll be talking about the cryptocurrency space in general, about Bitcoin, obviously. We'll be talking about what it takes to build a cryptocurrency exchange of your own. We know that there is a lot of things going around in terms of this is what you could do. There are people who are selling matching engines. There are people who are selling front ends. We want to hear it from the horse's mouth as to what it takes to build everything up from scratch. Fun fact about Adam, when he was 19 years old, he started trading futures. And from there, he moved on to trading on horse bets and stuff like that. And now he is, after a long time, looking at cryptocurrencies as something that could be the next big thing for him and for all of us. At this point, I'd let Adam take the lead and let us know a bit about himself, his background, how he got into crypto, and what excites him.
Hi, mate. Well, thanks for the introduction. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here. Well, like you say, I started off trading futures when I was very young. I was in the pit, trading German government bonds mostly. Didn't have a frigging clue what a German government bond was, but it went up and it went down, so we bought and we sold it. Did that for a few years, then went traveling, just got completely burnt out by pit trading. Was traveling for 5 or 6 years, and then came back, went on the screens, futures trading on the screens, then discovered betting exchange trading. There's while I'd been traveling, this new thing called Betfair.com. It's the biggest betting exchange in the world. Basically, it's very much like a futures market. It's everyone's betting with each other, and you can buy and sell bets effectively. So I figured out I could buy and sell bets just before the horse race started without knowing anything about the horse, without watching the races. So I did that for years and years. And then from there, that's when I discovered cryptocurrency. I'd always had this idea in my head that, if a zero fee futures exchange would be great. Never really knew how that would work. It was just an idle thought. And then when I discovered Ethereum and the ability to create your own token, and I thought, we could have our own currency and we could mint that instead of charging transaction fees. And that's when the whole ridiculous idea just came to life, and it all carried on from there. So that's the brief how I got into it.
This is nice, and I'd like to back up here a bit and want to know about what is it that you call a pit trader. I understand futures, a futures trader. What is a pit trader?
Yeah, well, everyone's so used to the screens now that no one realizes that back in the day, in the 90s, futures trading was done in the pits. And, in America, there still are some pits. It's basically, a pit is it's like a grandstand of steps. It's like a round area, some of them are rectangular, and it's just like steps going up, like a grandstand, like a football, terrace, and it's round, and it's just a bunch of guys standing on each step. So there's just guys around guys around guys, and you're all shouting and waving your arms in the air because it's all hand signals backing up what you're saying. You're buying and selling, but in a very physical sense. You're physically buying and selling off each other. So it was a very intense, very stressful environment. You're in a pit surrounded by literally 200 guys that are all shouting. They're all, 20, 21 years old. Half of them are on cocaine. It's just a ridiculous place to spend most of your time. You come out of there a bit strange. So maybe that explains a lot about me. I don't know. But that's what pit trading is. After 3.5 years of that, I was like, fuck this shit. I got a ticket to New Zealand, and that was me. I went traveling for 6 months, had the best time of my life, and didn't come home for 6 years. So that's what pit trading does to you.
Got it. From where I stand, I guess it makes sense because we take the pits as something related to gladiators. Mm-hmm. And now that you describe what you are doing, it makes a lot of sense. It builds character, I guess.
Oh yeah, because it's an interesting place. If you can survive in there, you've got tough skin. You've got thick skin because the first day, oh my god. The first day I literally got thrown in. You literally get thrown into a pit of just howling fucking just monsters, just ridiculing you, laughing at you, just, oh my God, it's something else. It really is.
No, this is nice, I guess, because today, like, trading has become because of computers, there is that layer between you and the other traders.
Exactly, it's very sanitized. Yeah, it's very sanitized now. To me, trading is just it's a very guttural, it's a very emotional thing, because to me, I remember how it was. So to me, it is a very confrontational, very aggressive thing. And I still, when I'm trading, I'm just constantly talking to myself and swearing and just constant nonsense coming out of my mouth, because that's just the way you did in the pit.
Wow. So from there, you moved over to New Zealand. How long were you there? 6 months, I guess?
Yeah, New Zealand. The plan for New Zealand was I just wanted to go walk through the forests and the national parks for 6 months. I'd had enough. I'd literally just had enough. So I went to New Zealand, and that first 6 months, I literally spent 3 months of that first 6 months just living in the bush. I walked through, the first one I walked across the Urewera National Parks, like a 500,000 acre wilderness. It took me 17 days to walk through it from one end to another. And after I'd done that, I just kept doing it. I went through every national park and forest park in New Zealand. So that's what I did there. And then after that, I came home for a little bit, but then just went traveling and just went Asia, Africa. I was in Africa for a couple of years, Asia a couple of years. I was ruined after that. You can't go back to normal life after that.
This is nice. And when did you first hear about Bitcoin?
I wasn't one of the early guys. I think I can't be sure entirely. I think it was like 2014, 2015, something like that. I wasn't one of the real early guys. And right away I didn't jump on it. Right away I didn't get it. It was just like, oh, that's interesting. And nothing then happened with it. It was just the seed was growing there. And then I discovered Ethereum, and Ethereum just seemed to be a lot more useful than Bitcoin, with the smart contracts and the ability to create your own token. And then my imagination started going, and then that was that. Then I just became obsessed. But I wasn't one of the early guys, unfortunately.
Got it. But I guess you were one of the early guys who got into Ethereum.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I got into the ICO thing just in time. I was one of the last ones that got in before they shut that show down. So that was good. Yeah.
Nice to hear that. So when you first got the idea as to okay, so I want to build a cryptocurrency futures exchange, and I guess there weren't a lot of people even thinking about it because there were technical challenges. Right. Explaining futures to developers is hard.
Yeah.
Then there must have been legal challenges. How did you manage all of that?
Well, fortunately, I didn't do any research at all. So I went into it without any idea of how hard it would be. So that was my secret. Other people that researched it properly said, oh, hell no. So that was my advantage. And then once I'd started, I was just in it then, so I just had to carry on. It wasn't as, predictably enough, it was very difficult, very complicated to build an exchange that can handle that kind of real-time activity. It's one thing building an exchange. It's one thing that can handle, thousands of people pressing the same button at the same time, So it was very difficult to really get a quality exchange. I could have put a shitty exchange together, like a lot of people have done, but I really needed this to be good because the revenue model of this is creating demand for a token and then being able to sell that token. So the product that you build actually has to be good. It actually has to create demand. I can't just put any old exchange out there and say, well, that's what I said I was going to build. There it is. It needed to be good. And to build something good is just very, very difficult. And I just didn't have those skills and that experience to do that. That first team, the development team I put together, I mean, individually, each guy was, a great programmer. I've got no problem with each one of those guys individually. I just managed them wrong. They weren't right for the job. The second team, that was just a total disaster. They just sucked. And then the third time around, most tech companies don't get a third chance. You get one, maybe you'll get two, but it's, a third one is unheard of. At this point, I was just against the ropes. I was like, everyone had just written me off, but I just couldn't fail. I'd taken money off every fucking person I knew to do this ICO. This failure was not an option. So I discovered, that Smart Deck wanted to do it, and I just moved to Russia. I just moved to Moscow, became part of the development team. I just said, look, guys, we got to get this right. And we did. It was a struggle, but we got it right in the end. So it was very difficult. It took everything I had, in every sense of the word, but we got through. So it all worked out well in the end. But it's not something I would advise most people to do. Most people would have difficulties too.
To put it mildly, I get it. And guess it's very interesting when you say that failure was not an option. For a lot of these ICOs, I guess they just wanted to raise money, buy a house in maybe the Bahamas or whatever island they have, and they're gone.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of them did. I think a lot of them probably do get unfairly treated, though. I think a lot of those ICOs, something like 90% of them from my time went bust. From what I know of it, you know what? I think a lot of them weren't scammers. I think they were just unprepared. They just didn't know what they were doing. They didn't raise enough money. The money they did raise just disappeared because it was all in ether. There's just a lot of things. And I think, that a tech startup has a 90% chance of failure anyway, which is basically what an ICO is. So I think a lot of them, maybe they weren't scammers. I think they were just unprepared. It's just very, very difficult to get a tech startup actually to the point where it can keep itself moving. You've just got to be, it's just got to be your obsession. It's just got to be the only thing that matters. You've just got to put it above everything else. And if you do that, you can succeed. But a lot of people won't do that, obviously.
Nice of you to say that. I guess I would tend to agree that not all of them were scammers, but they were pretty unprepared. And a lot of people were unprepared. The people building it, the marketing team behind it, development team behind it, and even the investors for a small part.
Yeah, there's just so many factors that go into success, and you've got to get them all right, and you don't have too many mistakes up your sleeve before you run out of money. And that's the problem. You've got to be able to make all those mistakes and not go broke. You've got to be able to learn from the mistakes, but not go broke in the process. And it's a fine line. Making mistakes is kind of an important part of learning anything. You can't figure anything out without 2 years of trying. I don't think you're going to be good at anything, whether it's fishing, whether it's, anything you mention, you've got to take 2 years to get good at it. Now I'm getting into the, building a complex software, fintech related project that hooks up to the blockchain. I mean, there's just a lot of mistakes that are going to get made along the way. The team, you start off with a team that isn't ideal. There's just many, many mistakes to be made. And unfortunately, most people don't survive those mistakes the way I did.
Yeah. Well, definitely, and you bring up an interesting point that is about hiring in technology. People who have been programming, people who have been trained maybe by their MBA degrees or whatnot to find the right talent and to manage them better, and they have failed a lot. And now we have someone like you who has been out there, you did not do these courses of sorts as to okay, I will get an MBA degree which teaches me how to let's say manage people better. Maybe you did not get a programming lesson, and here you are, managed 3 different sets of programmers. What has your experience been, and what would you choose to suggest to people who are going to hire certain people from the technology sector?
What would I suggest to them? The thing that I realized is just how important the team around you is. I'd always been a loner, I guess, because as a futures trader and then, a lone backpacker around the world and trading horses and, these are solitary pastimes. And so I'm not a good team player. I'm not a good team builder. I don't manage people well. So that's a problem. I would say, a lot of these people, you just got to find the right team. You just got to find the right people. It's as simple as that, and that is so difficult to do. It's not about what you know. It's about getting people that will really go that extra mile for you and have the skills and have the drive and the dedication and the balls to do what's necessary. And it's just not easy to find those people. I've found a bunch of those people now, but it's taken me 2.5 years. This position I'm in now is very strong, but it was a bit shaky getting here. Finding those people was difficult. So that's what I would say. I would say find someone or some people that are very, very good.
Mm-hmm. Got it. So let me try to put it this way. When the first programmer was let's say, interviewing with you, what were the questions that you asked them? How did you find out that, okay, this is the guy that I want to hire?
Well, the first time around, it was the guy that had built our ICO token sale panel, and he'd done a great job of that. And so I thought, well, he's a programmer, he's great. Let's make him the lead developer of the whole thing. Just ridiculous, really. There wasn't really a proper process to it, and but again, he was a very talented programmer. He's done very good stuff, and he'd done telecom stuff that was all about real-time things that can't fail, applications that can't fail, and he came with a team. So on paper, it looked great. I think the problem was they didn't have experience of building exchanges. That's the thing, People need direct experience of things, and I think that was the problem. I think the biggest thing is you really got to get people with experience of that particular field, and I overlooked that.
Mm-hmm. And I guess it's not an easy task, because exchanges for cryptocurrencies were primarily handled by governments or the government bodies themselves. So they had a lot of those resources that individuals or corporations don't have access to.
Sorry, I had to. Sorry, mate. I had to send a text urgently then to. Sorry, can you repeat that question? I'm sorry, mate. I don't multitask. I can't chew gum and walk. Go on.
It's okay.
Can we do that again?
It's
that
okay.
Question.
It's okay. So I'll repeat my question. I was saying it is not a small task to expect cryptocurrency exchanges to be running right off the bat. You take any of the ones that are out there that people are talking about a lot. Let's say somebody like Binance. Even they make mistakes, right? They got hacked, and they I guess lost something like $40 million by a hack. That's a huge amount of money. And in the traditional space, cryptocurrency exchange, not crypto exchanges, but normal exchanges that trade stocks and futures and whatnot, they are handled by governments or government bodies. They have the kind of that endless resource pits of sorts that they can pull money out of. Individuals cannot do that. Corporations cannot do that, right? You guys don't have an endless pit of money. And so it wasn't a small ask, and you guys did it. And I guess you guys also went live about a month ago, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, April 27th. Yeah, the mainnet launched on April 27th.
Definitely. So tell me what happened 24 hours right before launch. If you have any interesting tidbits about it, it's always fun for a third party at least to talk about how your launch went.
Right.
And then we'll go over some stats.
Well, I was shitting myself the first 24 hours before launch because it'd just been such a build up to it, and I was worried about some big crash in Bitcoin, just liquidating everybody, and it would be a complete disaster. So I was just nervous the first few hours and the first day, but then gradually it became okay, and it just started getting better and better. I was running my market makers, obviously, just to keep the market seeded with a little bit of volume. We could only let in the first 20 and then 50 people, so it was very quiet. So it was very much a soft launch. But then, as we've let more people in each week, the volume has increased nicely. The volumes just every day now we're having record volumes. Like today is literally our busiest day ever. The exchange is working perfectly. it's bulletproof. You know, the price crashed today like $700 or something. You know, I was on the ladder watching it. The whole thing worked as it's supposed to. You know, we were like a 1 tick minimum spread the whole time as it was jumping up and down all over the place. So very, very happy with the quality of the product. You know, SmartDeck have produced something that is absolutely solid. You know, and that's such a big thing about it. You know, because you know the problem with BitMEX is everything. It works 99% of the time. You know, it's just the 1% of the time when everything happens that's the major problem. You know, it's a major problem that it doesn't work then. So very happy with the quality of the product. Very happy that the concept just seems to have taken. You know, people just love the idea of zero fee trading, you know, and why wouldn't you? And, you know, it's just a no-brainer, and it actually turned out to be that way. You know, as we let more people in, volumes increase, you know, everything just gets better. So just very, very happy with how it's gone in general, really. I'm just very relieved. It's been, I couldn't have hoped for a better launch, to be honest with you. It's gone better than I thought it would, and so what can I say?
It's very nice. And like, how many people like do you have working on the exchange as of now?
Right now, I don't even know, to be honest. I think I've got like 64 people working for me now. It's getting ridiculous. We just we're just on this mad hiring binge. We've got a new operations team, because obviously we didn't have an exchange before, you know, so we never really needed an operations team. So we've got that whole can of worms that we're figuring out there. We've got a new director of exchange operations. She's just running the whole show. We've got a new CTO. He's the guy who, he's actually, for his previous program that he built, he connected to the API of every futures and cryptocurrency exchange in the world. So that's our CTO, you know, very, very familiar with the inner workings of every exchange in the world, the APIs. He's currently building our API. So we got a lot of people that we're working with. The marketing that we're doing is you know, next level stuff. The stuff that people are going to see us coming out with in the next month, 2 months, 3 months. It's kind of next level shit. The exchange is going to get a lot of attention very soon. The development side of it, we're building up in-house teams. We've still got SmartDeck. We're hiring other teams that can do specific tasks for us. We're looking for all kinds of different developers. You know, if you're at the top of your game and you know you want to work for something, you know, a company that's just really going places, that's got a lot of big plans, please contact us. We're just tearing forwards right now. Very, very exciting plans. A lot of people backing us. You know, this isn't just all hot air. And at the end of this month, I'm going to be dropping the new white paper, the new Digitex white paper that is going to outline everything that I'm talking about now. I'm just dropping hints here, saying big things are coming. I don't want to talk about it until the white paper's out. The white paper's coming the end of June. And in that, you're going to see what's coming, and you're going to be blown away. That's all I can say.
Very nice to hear that. And speaking of the Digitex white paper, in the older version, I read that the DGTX token is an ERC-223 token. So, is there any reason for that? Like, how did you come by it? Because not everybody ventures out of the safe ERC-20 space.
Right, it was a mistake. I mean, to be honest with you, it was a mistake. The idea of ERC-223 was that you know, it saves some gas costs, and there's, you know, it prevents it being sent to a wrong wallet in some certain circumstances. You know, it's got some advantages. I mean, nah, we should have just gone with ERC-20, because the problem is that, you know, that different protocol, a lot of the decentralized exchanges, their smart contracts couldn't handle our token. So we couldn't get listed on a bunch of different exchanges because we were ERC-223. So in that particular circumstance, if we'd have done it again, I would have, it's still ERC-20 compatible. It's still pretty much exactly the same. It's just slightly different. So we should have actually just gone ERC-20.
Okay, yeah. I get it. Because from where I stand, when ICOs were all of the rage, in 2016 and 17, and everybody had their ERC20 tokens, and they were running their bounty campaigns or whatnot. People were like sending money directly to the contract addresses and losing their funds.
Yeah.
So at least on paper, it's really good.
Yeah, that's why we did it, but in practicality, it was a mistake.
hmm I guess maybe like something to do with developer support, because ERC20 is like pretty much a plug and play like right now, right?
Yeah.
Just 70 lines of code.
Right. Yeah. Just stick with the main one. Stick with the main one if you can. Usually.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And speaking about like cryptocurrencies, what are the kind of cryptocurrencies that you have invested in or think that have potential in the future?
I mean, I've always been an Ethereum fanboy. I think Ethereum's got places to go. I just think that the developer community of Ethereum is very good. Bitcoin, I've read something. I became a Bitcoin maximalist. I think I do actually believe that Bitcoin's going to be $1 million a token in my lifetime. I think that's highly likely. Actually, from the way I look at it now, I think it's highly likely. I mean, the other ones. I mean, there's some. What was the other one I was interested in? I'm trying to think of it. What was it? No, there was one. The DAI thing. Yeah, I like the stable coin. I like the idea of the stable coin thing. Actually, being not, just backed by, like fiat or a corporation. I like the whole DAI thing, the way that works. It uses those collateralized debt positions to create a stable coin where even when the collateral is volatile, it still works. So I like that one. But generally, I'm mainly just Ethereum and Digitex.
Nice to hear that. And moving over from cryptocurrencies to blockchains in general, like, are there any like blockchains that you think are like maybe going to be take the world by storm next? Like we like already have the Bitcoin, we have Ethereum. What do you think like could be the next one?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what would be the next one. I'm hoping that Ethereum gets their act together and figures out how to scale it. I don't know. They just seem to be taking such a long time. That we just seem to be losing momentum. We seem to be, I don't know if they're going to do it. I think they are. I think if they just keep going, I think if they, some of the smart deck guys went to that Japan conference and they came back saying that, the scaling issues have been solved mathematically. And now it's just a case of actually writing the code, which is, hugely complicated and stuff. But apparently the decentralized research guys were saying that Ethereum is on track and they are going to do it. So I would say it's going to be Ethereum, to be honest. It's just up there. It's going to be Bitcoin, Ethereum, or something else. It's not going to be Bitcoin. I would say it's going to be Ethereum actually becomes practically useful in the next, 10 years, 20 years.
Got it. And let's circle back to cryptocurrency exchanges.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Go on. I was going to say, but then what the fuck do I know? Go on.
Idea here, maybe like know more about you in terms of what your outlook is, because a lot of the times, like every publication out there talks about, okay, what do you do? How do you do that? That's about it. We try to like find more about how did you get to be what you are. So like that is very helpful to us and also to our readers. But yeah, let's circle back to cryptocurrencies and cryptocurrency exchanges to be particular. Whenever I think about cryptocurrency exchanges, I also hear about market makers, or at least what they are called allegedly. Like I guess they are liquidity managers of sorts. And there is a lot of like things going on behind the screens that people like are not privy to, which is why they think that, oh, so running a cryptocurrency exchange is very easy. Let me try that. And then they burn and fall. So could we like hear from you as to like what goes on behind the scenes in terms of liquidity management? What are your markers and like how do you manage it?
Right, yeah, because I think this is why, ever since April 27th, I've really been figuring this out fast. I think this is why most exchanges fail. Even if you come up with a technically stable product, even if it does what it says on the tin, you know, getting people onto that exchange is another thing entirely. Even if your marketing is good and you've got a big community, when you get them onto the exchange, the market making's got to be right, because the market makers are the catalyst for everything. You know, the people are on there, they're waiting to do trades, but they have no confidence in your exchange yet. They don't know how it's going to move around. They don't know how easy it's going to get filled and stuff. So you need those market makers initially to seed it. And those market makers need to be fast and loose. They need to be just always there, no matter what the price is going to do. They need to just always be willing to take any position, and they can never ever stop. And you know, you can get yourself into some big liabilities doing that. But that's what you have to do. Basically, you have to say to all comers, I'll take all trades and do your thing. And market making really is the key. It really is the secret to a successful exchange. And most exchanges don't get the market making right. They either don't have the ability to do it themselves, or they bring in market making companies which are expensive. And you know, I don't want to diss the market making industry, but I mean, come on. I mean, I wouldn't trust one of those guys to fucking go to the store for a pint of milk for me. You know, it's like they just, there's just something about them. They're just very tricky. You know, you don't really know what they're doing. And I just don't want that kind of thing going on my exchange, to be honest. I don't want to invite big institutions to be market makers. I don't want to give them preferential treatment. I don't want to give them last look. You know, last look is like the dirty little secret of Forex and things, where market makers are given, you know, 100 milliseconds. Whenever someone hits their bids or offers, they're given 100 milliseconds to look around other exchanges, see if anything's going on, see if they can get rid of that position. If they can, they'll take it. If they can't, they've got 100 milliseconds to cancel their order. There's all kinds of little dirty little tricks to go on with market making. And it really does make it much, much harder for the retail person to succeed. So my thing is, I understand market making. I've been a trader my whole life. I don't want to get these third-party companies in that I would have to pay anyway. I would prefer to just get my own market making going, and the money that I would have to pay to these institutions, I'll have the market makers lose to my traders. You know, I'll like be losing money on purpose through bidding and offering, through maintaining liquidity at all times. So that money is going directly to the traders instead of to a market-making company. So I think the secret, if anyone wants to start their own cryptocurrency exchange, the secret really is in the market making. You've got to get the market makers running right from day one. They've got to be highly liquid, and you've got to have plenty of money to operate them. That's probably the other thing. People get to the point where they launch the exchange. It's like, finally, thank God we built this thing. They don't really have a lot of money left. You know, now is when it all starts. And this is another big advantage I had with Digitex. You know, the money that we raised, we spent it all on development. We were, you know, just trying to just get through. It was a survival thing for a period there. But then when we launched, I got 100 million fucking Digitex to play with. You know, we've got our own native currency. So we launched, and I got millions of dollars worth of tokens to do market making with. So I can create these really great, really thick markets that just are always tight, you know, one tick spread, whatever the conditions are. I can always make sure there's, you know, bids and offers, and, you know, and I'm doing that. And that's why the exchange is getting so good. That's why everybody's happy. And you know what? The thing is, I'm realizing that even though I'm setting these market makers to be like this, to give a lot of good fills, to keep the market moving, to just be that catalyst, and they're constantly hemorrhaging money by doing that, the liquidation engine on the other side of it that liquidates traders when we have these sharp movements, it turns out the liquidation engine, the system gains are covering what the market makers are losing. So it's actually completely sustainable. I can actually crank the market makers up. The way the market makers are working now, I can actually make them faster and looser than they currently are. And I'm thinking that as more and more people come in, and as we get more and more system gains through liquidations, And as we increase our leverage from 10x to 100x, which we're going to do next month, I'm thinking I can get the market making really, really cranking so that the market makers are consistently losing, hundreds of thousands of Digitex per day to the traders. The traders will be in there competing for that money. In one sense, I see it. Sorry if I'm going on about this, because like market making is just so important. So the way I see losses through market making, the way I see it almost is it's like mining. If miners come along and they mine for a cryptocurrency, but just by doing random mathematical calculations, and they compete with each other, and the winners get the cryptocurrency, right? Well, it's the same thing with ours. Once it becomes common knowledge that our market makers are losing, 300,000-400,000 tokens a day, then people will come in to compete for those 400,000 tokens. And how do they compete? They have to buy Digitex tokens, and they have to add liquidity to our exchange, and they have to be active. They create the thing that we want them to create. And yes, they're competing for those tokens, but by doing so, we're creating demand for the token. It kind of feeds itself. So it's kind of a very holistic thing in the end. It's more, I don't know that it's kind of, market making is just it's an art. It really is an art. And you get it right and your exchange will just blow up. If you get it wrong, it'll just be crickets. So that's my thoughts on market making.
Got it. And I guess there's a difference between a lot of these cryptocurrency exchanges and the ones like yours, is the futures, like a futures contract. So some of us understand what a futures contract looks like in the general market. We understand that the normal cryptocurrency market is mostly like a spot exchange. But what does a Bitcoin futures contract look like on your exchange, Digitex? As well as if you want to compare it to some other exchange as well.
Well, a Bitcoin futures contract is basically, a futures contract is just basically a promise. It's a promise to buy or sell something at a fixed date in the future at a price you agree on now. So, the only difference with our exchange is that we use our own native token, the Digitex token, as the native currency of the exchange. So you need that to put in your account balance. The profits and losses are in Digitex, the margins you post are in Digitex. So it's a slightly different contract than others because you're trading on the price of Bitcoin, but you're making and losing Digitex tokens. So our futures contract is different from any other futures contract. But the flip side of that, the advantage of it is that you can trade it like a complete maniac, and you don't pay any transaction fees on any trades ever. And that really is just, people don't realize how important that is. People think, a 0.1%, charge commission rate on your trading it's so tiny, 0.1%. How could that possibly make any difference? It's like the casino. The casino has 37 numbers on the wheel, and they pay you out at 35 to 1. And you think, oh, that's close enough. That doesn't matter. That difference, 37 numbers, but they pay you 35 to 1, that pays for the whole building. That pays for the staff, the electricity, everything, and the profits. You get the tiniest edge working against you, and you're done for. You better be damn good to beat even the tiniest edge working against you, because that tiniest edge compounds the more you do. With our exchange, it's literally the opposite. With the way our market makers are working, they're programmed to literally just constantly be hemorrhaging money. On our exchange, it's the flip side. There's actually a small edge working in your favor. Our traders, as long as you're not one of the ones that gets liquidated, which is a different style of trading, the short-term traders that won't get liquidated, those guys collectively, win this money every day between them. And they compete amongst themselves as to who gets that money that the market makers are losing. But it's an edge. It's an actual edge working in your favor, and the more trades you do, the more you're going to be exposed to that edge. And the more trades you do, you're not paying any transaction fees. So our exchange is just going to become, and this is played out, this is bared out by the way the initial figures are coming now. As we let more people in, the volumes go up and up and up. And people are becoming very, very active traders, as I expected they would be. We've created this paradise for just ultra short-term scalping. just taking one tick, breaking even, lose a tick, make a tick, break even. This style of trading that just isn't viable on other exchanges, it's really taking off on our exchange, and people are really getting into it. And as we let more and more people in, we can only let 100 people in a week at the moment for the rest of this month, and then in July, I think we're opening it up to the public properly, and that's when it's just gonna blow up in July, because the way that the initial people are using it, it's like I say, it's going better than I expected it to. So very, very excited for the full public launch in July.
And when we talk about users, we also want to talk about user experience, because there is this difference in terms of what a developer or a programmer might think is going to be user friendly and what the user actually finds to be user friendly, or the word on the street called intuitive. So how do you guys take care of that? How intuitive has your exchange proved to be for the users?
Well, the first users that we've got on there, I think we've got 420 users on there now. We're getting another 100 in on Friday. These are all the guys that are really mad keen to get in. These are sending begging letters. These are just begging us to let them in. So these guys get it right away. They've just been their Digitex community through and through. They love everything about it. They get it right away. How it's going to be to just the normal people that we're trying to get into this is a different matter. We have done some research. We do find that a lot of people are slightly confused. The interface can look a little daunting if you're not a trader. So, we are aware of that. We just hired a new UX guy in Kiev. He's like a UX UI guy. He's putting together all the user experience, just that whole side of it for the new. I can't talk about that yet because that's in the white paper. But anyway, we got this expert UX guy who's really putting a lot of thought into how everything should work together and how easy it should be to use and how intuitive it is. And we're also starting the Digitex Academy too, which is going to be a lot of courses and just general instruction on how to do everything related to cryptocurrency and cryptocurrency trading.
So I guess for someone who let's say has $100 to trade, what would you suggest to him? Do you want him to trade futures, or do you want him to trade, let's say, on the spot market, assuming that he has a 50% win to lose ratio?
I would always say futures, because futures is just highly charged. You've got leverage with futures, and you can go short. I mean, you can do kind of margin trading on the spot markets and go short, I guess, but futures is just a lot more agile. It's just you don't need to understand anything about the market when you trade in futures. This is the thing, everyone says trading's so complicated and you've got to be so intelligent. I've never known anything about the things that I'm trading on. German government bonds, not a clue. Horses, not a clue. Now I'm trading on Bitcoin. I don't know if Bitcoin's going up or down. How would I know that? You're just scalping. You're just looking for these small, micro, little patterns, and you're just trying to steal ticks. And you've got that bid offer thing on your side, and you haven't got an edge working against you. So you just got patience and discipline. You're gonna grind it out. You can grind it out. That's always been the way I've traded. Just grinding it out one tick at a time without any underlying knowledge of the instrument that I'm trading on. And that's the advantage of futures as far as I'm concerned. Especially Bitcoin futures that are just 24/7, non-stop, always moving. You can just log in anytime, day or night, and just have a 2, 3, 4 hour trading session. And if you're patient and disciplined and you do it right, you're going to grind out money. You just are. So that, to me, is a very exciting position to be in. Like I say, I traveled the world for years, just, out of internet cafes, trading various different things from various different computers. And it's a very, very free life. The life that you live as a trader, once you crack it, if you can just make $200-300 a day, that's a life-changing amount of money for, a lot of people. That changes everything. If you can consistently make $200 a day, if you can consistently make $100 a day, that changes everything for hundreds of millions of people. I think there is no edge against you on our exchange. There is no reason you should lose. There's no reason why you should win particularly. There's no reason why you should lose though. So I think there's a massive market out there of traders to be that don't even know that they're going to enjoy trading yet. They don't even know that they're going to be good at it. It's so far it's been like this elite kind of pastime. It doesn't need to be. Retail, the retail trading market could be massive, like really massive. And I think we're gonna reach over into the world of gambling, and we're also gonna reach over into the world of online gaming and esports. I believe those audiences are absolutely primed to become cryptocurrency trading audiences. They just don't know it yet, but they're gonna be. They're all gonna be on Digitex.
And when we talk about users, like there is always this lingering question about community and managing your community. So like, because you guys have a huge community, you might have a lot of insights as to like how you manage your communities, because there are people who speak different languages, people who have different expectations, and then because of the whole ICO like boom and bust, people are a bit apprehensive, like at least the people who invested early on. So like, how do you take care of your community? How many people do you have managing it? Is there a particular platform that you really like?
We've just always been very strong on, well, all social we've been very strong on, but we've always from the very start had a full-time Telegram team. 24/7, you can go into our Telegram and you speak to, a Digitex employee that knows what they're talking about. So really, we just threw money at it. We just manned the decks, and we're just constantly doing that more and more. Like our support now is, very similar to how Telegram is. There's constantly people on support 24/7 for anything you want. So you just got to throw money at that. Really, the community just needs. You just need to pay it attention. The more attention you pay on something, the better it is. So that's the principle we went with, and we just always made sure we had people on social to just constantly engage with whoever's there.
So I guess there are two different camps. One of them believes that okay, just focus on building, and we will answer the community later. And then there is this other group of people who believe that okay, if there is a community, we should be thankful to them and cater to their questions right, or rather as soon as they ask those questions. So which camp would you put yourself in?
Yeah, the second one for sure, because the community is what's the valuable part. The product isn't the valuable part. Without people on it, the product is nothing. It's the people that are the value. So we started off marketing right away from day one when we were years away from actually releasing the product. We didn't plan on it taking us this long to release the product. It was supposed to be Q4 2018, but yeah, we went hard on nurturing the community and doing a lot of pre-marketing before the product is even ready. That whole thing that says just build a good product and they will come. Yeah, maybe they will, maybe they won't. You can't leave these things to chance. It's better that you make sure they come. So
definitely.
Yeah.
Got it. And when I talk about communities, do you have a community for people who speak a certain language? For example, there is
Kakao we got a bunch of them. I've lost track of how many Telegram channels we've got now. It's on our website. You can see them. There's a whole bunch of them. There's got to be at least 12 or maybe more. We got Indonesian. We got Brazilian. We got all kinds of Malaysian. We got everything. Russian, Greek, Italian. I don't even know, Chinese. We got a bunch.
And when we talk about traders, do you see any pattern emerging as to okay, so this is a geography that indulges in a lot of cryptocurrency trading, or is it just diffused across the world?
You mean our typical user?
Yeah, your typical user, where is he most likely to reside?
Yeah, they're just everywhere. I mean, we look at our stats for email opens, it's literally just everywhere. We're strong in the UK, we're strong in Italy, we're strong in Asia, Brazil likes us. There's just there's certain places that do pop up, but yeah, they're everywhere. And like I say, the kind of target audience that we're going for soon, we really want to zone in on those young gamer types, because I think they're just prime for cryptocurrency adoption. They're just gonna love it. They're young, they're predominantly male, they're very techy, they spend a lot of time online, they don't mind spending money online. I've just described your ideal cryptocurrency user right there. We give them gamers products that will appeal to them, that will get them trading, and they will be all over it. And the marketing ideas we've got for getting to those people are really, really good, and we're going to be unleashing those soon. And just a little ideas like I've got. I want to create like some real advanced kind of like gamer style trading interface that's got real high-end graphics, and you need like a gaming console to even trade on there, or things like that. And then when virtual reality gets good, let's have some kind of 3D trading UI where like just crazy shit that just people, that kids, that not kids but just like young guys are just gonna be all over. They're just gonna love it.
And cryptocurrencies have, I guess, primarily been something that is let's say absorbed in a better manner by people from our generation, or maybe the ones that are going to succeed us. But what about the generation that preceded us? People who, let's say, are already 50 years old, are 60 years old, people in those age categories.
I think we're going to get one or two of them, but I don't think as a demographic we're going to do very well with them. It's just they can't open their fucking email, can they? They just it's difficult. It's the growth market is in the millennials, is in the the 18-year-olds and those people. Yes, we've got some 50 and 60-year-old customers and users, but it's difficult to get those people. Cryptocurrency is still very technical. Cryptocurrency cryptocurrency UI is awful. The cryptocurrency industry is very young at the moment. It's dominated by the actual blockchain developers. And those blockchain developers don't know shit about marketing. They don't know shit about UX. There's a lot of things they don't know about. And that's, it's still very early days for cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency still needs a few layers of sanitation to, make it, it has to come loaded on your phone where you can just press a button and you've bought some crypto, and you press another button and you've sent it. It has to be that kind of level for the masses to really adopt it. But that will come. This is a huge opportunity now. If you can be asked figuring it out now, it's only going to get bigger. I don't see how it can go anywhere. Where's cryptocurrency going? It's like the internet. I mean, in 20 years' time, you just cannot imagine the effect that cryptocurrency is going to have on, the payments industry, the exchange industry, the stock exchange industry. It's just so many things. The real estate industry, it can really shake things up.
And when we talk about cryptocurrency, it's no conversation is complete without talking about lost wallets, lost keys. A bunch of Ethereum or even Bitcoin wallets are just lost. The wallets were created, but because the keys were lost, and hence the cryptocurrency in them is lost. How do you choose, or how do you plan to solve this problem on your exchange?
I mean, people lose cash too. There's probably billions of dollars in loose change behind people's sofas. It's just cash can get lost, right? I mean, if that's, to me, I see that as the value of cryptocurrency. The fact that it can get lost, the fact that someone can steal it, I mean, that to me shows that it has value, that it has use. It's not some abstract idea. I think the fact that criminals use Bitcoin and cryptocurrency for payments, I think that's the best fucking advertisement you can have for it, because it's just a great system that works when people don't trust each other, and it still works. That has value. It's like the money of the internet. So yeah, it's a shame that that wallets and keys do get lost, but cash gets lost all the time. Cash gets stolen all the time. It's just, unfortunately, it's just one of those things. If people can, if I've got a big wad of money, I'm careful with it. I don't just leave it hanging around. I keep an eye on it. So people have just got to do the same.
Got it. And now that we are approaching the 1 hour mark and the end of the podcast, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions about your roadmap as to what is it that you plan to do next, and what are your vision for let's say 5 years in the future.
Well, you know what I got planned next, don't you? You know exactly what I got planned next. We've got we've got the Futures Exchange, which has been a very successful launch. It's, zero fee, requires the use of Digitex tokens, so, that creates demand for the token. I just realized that as the CEO, my role is creating demand for the token. It's not building a futures exchange or operating a futures exchange. That's part of it. But my primary role is creating demand for the token. So if a futures exchange can do that, then what could a whole range of other related trading and gambling related products that all have the same kind of theme of zero fees and no house edge, but you just have to use Digitex. What if I had 10 of them just like the futures exchange? What would that do for the demand of the token? So I can't say anymore because I want to drop this all in the new white paper with specifics. So I'm just heavily hinting at the moment that there are some big things. More utility for the token coming, not just zero fee futures trading.
Thank you for that, and we'll be looking forward to hearing it when you decide to launch. And we'd like to end with this small question as to do you have any message for our readers? HackerNoon is read by over 6 million people on a monthly basis, mostly technologists. Let us know what you think.
Oh, you get 6 million a month, do you?
Yeah.
Look at you. Well, then I guess a message for them: buy Digitex. No, seriously. A message for them. I don't really have any particular message. My just general message to the world is that I'm just glad I've gotten as far as I've gotten. I've got big plans coming. Keep an eye on Digitex. We've got huge plans coming. Very exciting stuff to come. So that's really the only message I would give in general, to be honest with you. I guess I'm very self-centered. It's all about Digitex.
We have to be like that. It makes sense.
Well, exactly.
And thank you for being...
Exactly.
And thank you for being on the HackerNoon podcast. It was a pleasure having you with us.
All right. Thanks, mate. I really enjoyed it. Was that an hour already? Yeah, that just flew by, right?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks,
mate. It happens when you're having fun.
Really enjoyed it. Thank you.